Yo, Stronger Together Method Squad. I hope you are all well on this Thursday evening. So, Tasha asked an absolutely great question last night with regards to being quite busy and not having as much time to be able to kind of commit to exercise and in terms of fat loss goals, essentially weight loss goals, whatever it may be with that one. So, what I want to actually talk about here is the dial and how to manipulate it with regards to your situation, whether it's to do with stress levels, whether it's to do with work, time that you have available to you, and how to get the best out of your training in terms of your results, guys. Okay, so first things first, when it comes to working towards a goal and really trying to ramp it up, you have to have the time available to you 100%, because if you try and do it when you're busy, um, family's busy, there's things going on at home, or you are highly stressed with work, you've got a busy time at work at that moment in time, there's no point in trying to really kind of ramp up your health fitness goals or try to lose X amount of weight and put more stress on yourself, because otherwise what happens is you add more stress to your life, essentially, and we want to try and minimize that. So first things first, you've got to look at your current situation and actually what time you have available to dedicate to what it is that needs to be done, essentially. So it's all about having your minimums and also having your maximums of what you can do as well. And I've kind of broken these up, essentially. I've kind of broken up an exercise one, and I've also created I'll talk through a nutrition one as well at the same time. So first one is the exercise side of things. So what are the minimums? So the absolute minimums to get the minimal dose, maximal effect, essentially. That's what we're always trying to do when it comes to exercise. So I think Tasha said about kind of should I look to cut out the running session, especially when it's coming up to winter as well, which is actually for everyone. I will be modifying the program so those who don't want to run won't necessarily have to run. It will be kind of like an in-house session as well, just so the option is there. But yeah, so having a minimum. So the minimum should be 3 sessions within a week, okay, to try and maintain where you're currently at, so the results that you've previously got, or at least try to offset any losses that may happen or damage limitation and such. And I say that loosely. I don't mean, oh my God, everything you're going to lose everything that you've kind of gained. That's not necessarily true, but it is trying to maintain where you're currently at with that one. So that's where 3 times a week you would want to be doing some form of strength training. Now, again, time dependent. If you can get kind of one main lift in there and then two other or maybe three assisted lifts on top of that into like a tricep after that, then that should be absolutely fine. So up to half an hour, 45 minutes will be fine. If you can keep it at 45 minutes to 60 minutes, then you are into a winner with that one. But as a minimum, strength training should be 3 times a week. Whatever days you put them on, it's got to work best for you, essentially, with that one. Okay, now that's as a minimum for the exercise. Now in terms of the maximum side of things, again, I would always suggest at least having 1 day of rest. Your body needs it, essentially. When we exercise, we are stressing the body and it needs to recover from that. If you're training and exercising every single day, it's going to throw everything out of whack. Hormones out of whack. You're not going to recover well, and you will probably get to a specific point at some point along the line where you'll probably just not train. You'll probably just be overloaded, body's overloaded or overtrained, highly stressed, and you just won't be able to train, or you just won't want to train, and you probably won't train as well. But so what I've suggested with this one in terms of maximum, in terms of exercise, will be 5 to 6 times per week. Okay. Now they could be on any days. Okay. And I'll give you an example of this one because there's more days in which you would exercise. So say for example we do Monday to Saturdays. We've kind of written in the program anyway, and this is for 6 days. You can always take one out as well. So basically on the Monday you would do your strength training session, kind of your main lift for that week. Tuesday you would do any form of conditioning, cardio, condition, whatever you want to call it. Escalating density, which is where you kind of do more rep-based stuff, but not in terms of not too much in terms of intensity with that one. Or HIIT type training, that should be absolutely fine because you should recover relatively well from that in terms of central nervous system and DOMS. So do that on the Tuesday. Wednesday, again, you will do your strength training session. So kind of mixing up a little bit, make sure the main lift is not the lift that you did on the Wednesday, which is what we tend to do. On the Thursday, again, do some form of conditioning or HIIT type training, escalating intensity training. Should be absolutely fine. Again, you recover relatively well from that. Again, try and keep the movement slightly different to the other days as well, just so you recover okay. And then the Friday would be a strength training session, essentially with that one. Then Saturday, if you did want to get that sixth in there, Saturday or Sunday, whichever one to do, it could be a conditioning or a cardio type session with that one, essentially. And that should allow you to kind of get the best results and really ramp it up, essentially, with that one. But again, I would only suggest doing that if you have the time to do it. There's no point in trying to do it if you are way too busy with family, way too busy and stressed at work, because it's just all going to fall down somewhere, essentially. Okay, so that is what I would suggest when it comes to maximal in terms of exercise. Now, and in terms of fat loss, it's all about maintaining. If you're going to get 3 times a week in it and you're not focused on nutrition, maintain where you're currently at, or at least mitigate the losses as much as you possibly can as well, or offset them as much as you can with that one. Now, in terms of nutrition, now, this is what I would suggest. There's different ways we could do this, okay? But again, it's having your minimum of what you can do and also having the absolute maximum to really kind of drive those results forward, essentially. Now, the minimum would be always, and this is what I always do. So I'm not even right now, I'm cutting a little bit. I am cutting, to be fair. I've taken before a picture and I weighed myself as well. 91 kilos. Where the frick did that come from? But yeah, so yeah. One of the main things that I always try to do, or not try to, I always do, I make sure I do it, and I've kind of ingrained this over the years, is ensure that I'm getting protein in every single meal, that I have a good amount of protein in there, a good, at least palm size, if we're going back to the absolute basics, 2 palm size portion of protein per meal. So I have 3 to 4 meals a day, 2 palm sized portion of protein. I eat meat. For vegetarians and vegans, it might be slightly different with that one, depending on what you're eating. If you're eating beans and pulses, I think you'd have two hand sized portions, and also minimize your carbs and minimize your fats as well, essentially, because if you're having beans and pulses, then you'll have carbs in your protein sources as well with that one. If you're having like your tofus or your seitan, things like that, then your protein's going to be a little bit high. You could probably keep it quite similar to someone who doesn't eat meat, essentially, in terms of the palm sizes as well with that one. So yeah, ensure that every meal you have, 3 to 4 meals a day, you're getting some form of protein in there as a minimum. Again, if you're training, doing 3 sessions a week, it will combine quite nicely with that. Again, it allows you to maintain muscle mass as much as possible. The thing is, in terms of building muscle mass, you cannot build it if you're not exercising. Okay, it's as simple as that. So you've got to exercise, and then the protein on top of that is also going to help maintain that, essentially, as well, guys. Okay, now in terms of the maximum, now whether you are looking to add muscle mass or whether you are looking to lose body fat, okay, muscle mass, you have to be in a calorie surplus. To lose body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. It's as simple as that. I do focus on the protein a little bit more because I do think in terms of methods to stop people from overeating, which isn't everyone's issue, but in my experience, that's where people tend to kind of fall down with it. I always suggest protein first, but you do have to be in a calorie deficit 100% to lose body fat with that one. And a surplus if you want to add muscle mass as well with a good amount of protein. Now, this is where what I would suggest is you need, well, for the maximum, is track your calories, have an idea of what calories you should be hitting. I'm not going to go into specifics about that now, but you'll have, you should be tracking your calories to make sure you're in a deficit if you lose body fat, or in a surplus if you're looking to add muscle mass with that one, and ensuring that you're hitting your protein target, whatever that may be, or towards the 2 grams per kilo of body weight, or target body weight with that one, guys, towards that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to hit it, because again, like I say, if you kind of get in 20% below that, you're probably in a good place with that one, guys. Okay, so there's a dial, essentially. So again, coming back to something, just to recap, before you even consider where you're at in terms of your exercise and your nutrition and kind of what you want to do in terms of your goal longer term, is look at where you are right now in terms of your time that you have available. Do you have the time available? Yes. Okay, cool. Do you have the stress levels at a good level right now? Yes. Okay, go for it. Go for the maximum, or work towards a maximum. Again, there's a range in there as well. You can always do happy medium. You can train 4 times a week, so on and so forth with that one, guys. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying you definitely have to do 3, definitely have to do 5 to 6. There's always that medium in there with that one. If you find that you don't have the time available and you are highly stressed, stick to the minimum, the bare minimum, what you can do with that one, and stick to that, and then you should be able to maintain where you're at. 3 times a week, strength training sessions a week, that's what you should be doing. When it comes to nutrition, just get your protein in every single meal, okay? Just ensure that you're getting some form of protein in there. Don't track, don't do anything. Again, if you track before, you should have a good idea of what your that kind of protein content should be anyway with that one, guys. Now, in terms of maximum, what we'll be looking to do exercise-wise, 5 to 6 sessions potentially per week. Is it crucial to do that? Not necessarily, but if you've got the time, you've got the will to kind of do it, then by all means go for it. Again, 3 training sessions per week as a minimum, and then 2 to 3 conditioning sessions or kind of escalating density, which can kind of combine with your strength training or HIIT training, will be absolutely fine because you recover quite well from that one. And in terms of your maximum, in terms of kind of nutrition wise, you want to be tracking for a set amount of calories if you're in a deficit to work towards fat loss, or if you want to look to add muscle mass or kind of build or add mass, then you want to be in a surplus. So tracking your calories to ensure you're hitting your calorie targets and making sure that you're hitting a good amount of protein towards the 2 grams per kilo of target body weight. 20% below should be absolutely fine with that one, guys. Okay, so I hope that helps in terms of how you would work the dial, in terms of where you are right now, in terms of your goals, in terms of your training right now. And yes, any questions about that, then any further questions, please do give us a shout as well. I'm more than happy to clear that up even more so, guys. Okay, and that is all from me, team.